Greetings everyone, and I hope the collecting gods are smiling on you wherever you are. And welcome back to the channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we're going to be taking a deep dive into Hot Toys 1/6 scale take on Stan Winston's reworking of H.R. Giger's classic Alien, from the James Cameron directed and now legendary sequel that is Aliens. The review will take the usual format. We will have a quick look at this enormous box, then it'll be down onto the table for a look at all the accessories, then it'll be out with the perfect xenomorph for a close-up look, and then we'll be wrapping the whole thing up with the usual showcase at the end. But before we dive into it, the shout-outs and backgrounds. Firstly, a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed to and supported the channel as we come up on our first anniversary. You continue to be amazing, and without your input and support and knowledge, none of this would have been possible. So pat yourselves on the back. And to those of you still on the fence, hesitate no longer. Mash that subscribe button and bell notification icon. It's cost and pain free, and not only will you be making an old man, an old collector very happy in his dotage, you'll be supporting us to carry on doing what we're doing here at Go Figure. So everybody wins. So background, I am not going to bang on about the movie as everything about Aliens has pretty much already been said, written, and everything else. But suffice it to say, it's generally regarded as one of the best science fiction action films of all time, and with very, very good reason too. I agree with that. An absolute classic and a must-see if you haven't already. Now, Hot Toys originally released this figure back in 2016 to coincide with the 30th anniversary of the release of Aliens. Now, I've had this figure in the collection for a while now, a number of years, but I never got around to reviewing it. So with the recent release of Aliens Romulus, I thought now would be a good time to take a trip down Xenomorph memory lane and see if this alien stood the test of time. So the box, and a very tall box it is too, but it's a very tall figure. It comes in about 14 inches. Yeah, let's stop it from spinning and have a look at it. I'm having to reach right round the camera here, so apologies if I'm struggling with this box. But yeah, we'll take it off the turntable. See if we can't get it all in shot. We'll put the turntable out of reach here. So what you've got here is a slipcover design. As I say, very tall box. The slipcover itself is this sort of darkened out plastic. It's quite thick, and it's got this image on the front of it, and that's catching on the bottom there. What you've got here is the, I believe it's probably the figure, maybe not, but it's a profile of the alien warrior itself. Quite dark. It's all done in very, very dark tones to sort of reflect the film there. But yeah, you've got a profile shot here, and it's done in that sort of, how can I describe this, VHS, broken bar camera type image, almost like the head cams from the Colonial Marines in the film itself, and it gives it that sort of broken up look. But yeah, essentially you've just got in this sort of blue scale and blacks, a profile of the Xenomorph's head. In the bottom left hand corner it says Movie Masterpieces. Bottom right hand corner, Hot Toys logos. In the center here, Aliens, Alien Warrior, 1/6 scale collectible figure. We'll bring it round and take a look at the sides here. On the sides, it's just a continuation of that profile shot of the alien itself. Once again, it says Aliens there. I think it's pretty much the same on the other side. Yes, it is. Around the back, you've got all the usual warnings and Hot Toys bits and pieces. Warnings are down at the bottom here. Don't piss this figure off, or you might have 3 minutes to reach minimum safe distance. What's on the top and bottom? Let's have a quick look. Bottom, just it says Aliens with that black background again, and I'm assuming it's the same story on the top. It looks like it is. Yes, it is. Very simple, but very, very effective. It's I do like this box. It's in keeping with the that aesthetic of the film, and I just like it a lot. So we'll take this slipcover off and have a quick look at what's underneath. Once you take the slipcover off, you are greeted with the usual Hot Toys clear plastic window. with the figure behind it. Obviously the figure isn't behind it in this case, as I mentioned at the top there. Had this figure in the collection a while, so he's out in the display. Sides and back here, not an awful lot going on other than sort of, I'm not sure if the camera's picking this up, there's some eggs in relief there at the bottom. And at the bottom there and around the back, you've got the credits, the cast and crew responsible for putting this beast together. So there you have it. That's the box. So without further ado, let's dive down onto the table and have a look at all the accessories that come with your Alien Warrior figure. Okay, so here we are down on the table with all the bits and pieces that come with your Alien Warrior figure, and this promises to be one of the briefest accessory sections in the history of the channel. Not an awful lot to go at here. Literally, it's a stand and these two impact effects, and that is it. We'll take a look at the impact effects first. Obviously meant to replicate the Xenomorph's blood when it's been shot with a pulse rifle. You get two of these. They're made out of a sort of, I don't know whether this is acrylic or plastic or resin. I'm not 100% certain, but it's got this green alien blood colour to it, which is nice. There's a translucency in places. There's some paint applications in the centre there, some darker paint applications to give it more depth and more of a sort of a three-dimensional effect. This particular one has 4 indentations, grooves on the back, because this attaches to the warrior's rib cage. And the second one, which is slightly smaller but pretty much the same story, that same resin stroke acrylic with the same paint applications in there. This one's got a magnet in it and actually goes to attaches to the side of the warrior's head. So you get 2 of those. I'll be honest, I don't tend to use these in the display. As nice as an inclusion as they are, I think they're a little bit cartoony, a little bit cheesy, not really to my taste, but they're there if you want them, and we'll have a look at how they attach to the figure when we bring him out. So we'll put those to one side, and the only other thing you get is the stand, and rather nice it is too. Those who own the Ripley figure from the 79 Alien by Hot Toys will recognise this stand straight away. It's a reworking. It's pretty much identical. In fact, really, the only real difference is the nameplate on the front. Here it says Alien Warrior. Obviously, on the other version, it says Ellen Ripley or just Ripley. So this is probably I'm going to chance my arm and say, is this the first instance of Hot Toys repurposing an already used base? Maybe it is, I don't know, but it's a trend that they've continued with through the years. So yeah, it's very nice though. It's sort of it's got this industrial feel. It's all one piece of plastic. On the bottom here, it just says Aliens 2016 when the figure was released, and Fox logo and so on. It's got this industrial feel to it. There's also some bits of machinery and bits and pieces going on. There's this grid effect in the middle with this crack in it. The dry brushing and the paint applications are really nice to give it that metallic feel. There's no feet on the bottom. It would have been nice to see feet, but it is what it is. But yeah, overall, very effective, and quite a large footprint, which is what you need with this figure, to be honest. But yeah, the detailing's really nice, the dry brushing's excellent, and it's just a really nice base and stand overall. Comes with a standard issue crotch grabber, literally slots into the centre there, and you're good to go. So yeah, that is your diorama stroke display stand. So we'll pop that to one side. So that is literally everything that comes with the figure. So without further ado, let's bring out the Xenomorph himself, get him on that rather nice stand, get him onto the turntable, and see if the years have been kind to him. Okay, so here he is. It's the alien Xenomorph himself, onto the stand, onto the turntable, and normally at this point I would give first impressions if there was a new figure to the collection and to meet, but it isn't. However, I can give a retrospective first impression, and I have to say, even 8 years down the line, I'm still very impressed with this figure. It really still does push all the right buttons for me. The scale is on point. The screen accuracy is most certainly there. The paint applications, the attention to detail, all nailed on. So yeah, but is it worthy of that Grail status? The big question. Does it still hold the title? Well, let's find out. We'll do what we always do. We'll stop him from spinning, get him off the turntable, get him into camera, start at the bottom and work our way up and take a look at the details on this guy. And now, it's fair to say as well at this point that this guy comes in at 14 inches tall, as we mentioned at the top there, but there isn't actually a vast amount of weight to him. I would expect more, but I think a lot of the weight is in the upper body and is taken up by this hard plastic casing of the chest area with the rib cage and the shoulder area, and also obviously this oversized and beautifully designed head. But yeah, it doesn't actually weigh an awful lot. And also as well, as far as first impressions go, if it is a first impression, I love the wet look that they've given to the paint applications on here, and it still retains that now 8 years down the line, which is once again completely screen accurate, that slightly soggy look that aliens have, constantly damp. But yeah, we'll start at the bottom and work our way up. We'll start with the feet. Now, here is where we start to see the first departure from the Giger Scott design of Alien from the '79 movie. These feet are slightly different. Less toes at the front here, and then you've got this opposable toe on the side. But the paint applications are really nice. The sculpt is on point. These ribs, which weren't on the original, are now there. You've got these two spikes at the back, where I think there was just the sort of one hoop type effect going on in the original. But yeah, paint applications are great. Sculpt is on point. It's got a huge footprint, literally, and there's even down to some detailing on the feet themselves. So yeah, it's got a big footprint. So getting it to stand isn't the most difficult thing in the world. These feet have got a ball joint pegged directly into the bottom of the leg itself, so you've got a really good range of motion here. You've got complete 360 laterally, and a good range of motion forward and backward. Not so much backward, obviously, simply because of the size of these feet. Then you're meeting these two spikes where it joins the leg. So, but yeah, fantastic range of motion in there. Considering moving up to these legs in this suit now. There's a variety of different, I wouldn't say plastics used here, but there's a number of different types of materials used. The body underneath here, which runs up the legs, the chest area, the abdomen, is actually this sort of, how can I describe this? It's more like a rubberized plastic. It may very well actually be rubber, but it's got a softer feel to it, whereas this rib cage is hard plastic. But the detailing is really, really nice, and the paint applications are on point. There's washing on there to pick out the details of these ribs and pipes and so on. Now, the paint applications are slightly, and it's another change from the original Alien to this one, are the colours. Now, you're still getting those hints of copper and those blacks in here, but Stan Winston introduced a hue of blue, and it was very delicate, and I'm not sure if the camera's catching this, but you can see it a little bit in the leg area here. Most certainly there's a hint of it in the crevices in the arms and the hands, and becomes more pronounced in this collar area and across the dome and the skull itself. So yeah, Hot Toys have really captured that well. Not overcooked it, yeah, just a hint in there. And when white light plays off it, you do most certainly get to see that blue hue. But moving up the legs themselves, they've got that split in the thigh design that we know with Alien. There's pipes running underneath it, but once again with that slight hint of copper in there. Paint applications are fantastic with shading and washers to pick out the details. Now, the legs themselves, let's talk about articulation on this. These are all solid rubber stroke plastic all the way up here, all the way through the abdomen, as I said, and through the chest section, which limits the articulation on this figure. The legs do have some give to them, as you can see, but they have a tendency to want to snap back. Not one for dynamic posing, this one. If you notice here, I mean, I've not done this very often. I keep this in a vanilla museum pose, but if you look at the back of the legs here, I've very rarely bent these legs, but you can see that there is some sort of stressing starting on the back of those knee joints. It's not problematic. There's no cracking or anything like that. But yeah, for an 8-year-old figure, I think it's still done pretty well. But as I say, very rarely do I move these legs. I'm quite low too. So yeah, articulation's limited in the legs there. The feet are great, knees not so good. Moving up to the abdomen section, there is literally no give in this waistline at all. So there's virtually no, I mean, there's a slight, ever such a slight movement. But once again, I think they've just foregone the articulation in the hip area simply because this is all one piece. And to be honest with you, I would rather have screen accuracy over ridiculously good articulation anyway, and we are talking about an 8-year-old figure. But the detailing in this abdomen section is on point. I'm going to bring out a couple of photos to do some comparisons, more of the actual head sculpt itself. Surprisingly, there are very few movie still pictures out there of this particular version of the alien. I did manage to locate one which is of the original suit, which was used in, or one of the original suits used in the movie, but it's very grainy. I'm not going to bring that out here simply because I don't think it'll translate very well through two cameras. But trust me, the screen accuracy and the detailing are on point here, down to the piping underneath here in this abdomen section. Paint washes are great again and consistent all the way around the back. Let's have a look at this tail. Now this tail is very, very well done. There is no articulation at the joint into the body there, but the whole thing is wired. And it's a pretty flexible wire here. It's not overly tough. It's not like the coat hanger wire in the Necker quarter scale big chap. This one's a lot more pliable, so you can really, takes minimum effort and you can do all kinds of wonderful things with it. The sculpting is really, really good, and it's done in, obviously, once again, in the same sort of soft rubber as the legs. And I have used and worked with this tail on a number of occasions over the years, and as you can see, the paint applications are still as good as the day it came out of the box. It's got that hint of blue in it, and if the camera's picking this up in those crevices there, that subtle touch of blue. But the sculpting is really nice with the ribbing and these almost individual, like vertebra-like sections. The paint application is fantastic. There are no cracks. There's no flaking. It's as I say, as good as the day it came out of the box, even down to this vicious-looking spike on the end of the tail. So yeah, tail great. Let's move up now. Let's take a look at the chest area. As I mentioned, this chest area, which it's almost like a gilet which covers the upper body, is made out of a much harder plastic. It's far more rigid. This has got those copper paint applications in there. There are blacks, there are browns. The suit underneath is still continue with that paint application. It moves up to this collar area now. This is where we see another departure from the original Alien. This was, in the original Alien, it was one single pipe that ran over here and there was a gap here, but Stan Winston decided to make them solid. It's probably fair at this point, actually, to take a quick look at the bullet wounds as well that come with this figure. As I mentioned at the top, not something I tend to use with this figure, as I think they look a little bit cheesy. But you get the one here, and if I'm remembering how this works, I think it goes in there, he said confidently, or maybe it's slightly lower down. There are four grooves actually in the back there. So actually finding the right position for this, I think it's meant to go there like that. Yeah, to simulate that impact from a pulse rifle or similar weapon. And then you get the other one, which is magnetized. This one not so easy to find because I believe it's actually on the pipe in this head area here. It's somewhere around here, and it's not the strongest magnet in the world. Let's see if we can't find it without it falling off. There you go. It actually found it. So yeah, that's what he looks like with the impact effects. Now, I'm not awfully keen on those. Number one, I mean the sculpt's okay, but it just it just looks a bit cheesy, a bit cartoony for me. But they're there if you want to use them. So let's take those off and carry on with this guy. Let's take a look at these arms. Now the arms, once again, same level of detailing, same level of paint applications. That blue, subtle blue hue is in there. And once again, though, no real articulation in these arms. None whatsoever. There isn't a joint in there, I don't think, and it wouldn't work even if there was, because another one of the changes that Stan Winston made. Originally the elbow was just a spike there, but he extended it and it goes all the way down into the wrist joint here. And so even if you did have a joint in there, you would risk breaking this part if you articulated it. So the arms remain pretty much unarticulated at the elbows. The only real articulation being at this shoulder joint here. Now it's on a ball joint, and about the highest you're going to get this arm there's no real up and down. As you can see, this one does raise ever so slightly, this one slightly less. The vast majority of movement here is forward and backward. So all your articulation, all your posing is going to be done from the shoulder, with maybe a twist of the hand, which is on a peg joint. And worthy of note as well, this is another change here that Mr. Winston made, removing one of the opposable thumbs here. The original had two thumbs either side, and then these two pairs of two fingers. But yeah, slight alteration there. I think he extended them ever so slightly as well. They do look slightly longer. But yeah, so that's the arms, limited by this hard plastic section. Around the back, let's try and get this closer into camera so you can pick out the details here. Now, I believe Stan Winston extended these pipes that come out of his back a little bit, so they're slightly longer, but yeah, they are absolutely screen accurate, on point, as is this extended, how can I call it, shoulder blade section, neck section. But once again, it's got that very subtle hint of blue in there, and I really do like the paint applications on this. So around to the front again, and let's take a look at this head sculpt. So where to begin with this? Major changes, obviously, from the original are this indentation at the front here, which wasn't present in the original. You've got these spikes down the side here. The translucency's gone from the dome, and it's now a black dome with ribs in it, which weren't there originally. Some of these pipes are slightly thicker, but the paint applications, and once again that subtle hint of blue, really do work here. The head is on a ball joint, and you've got a decent amount of motion in there, a range of motion, considering its size and the fact that it's limited by these two shoulder sections. But it does have a certain amount of play in there, so you can have him looking off to one side, looking upwards a little bit. The forward and backward motion isn't brilliant. It's developed a little bit of a squeak over the years, but yeah, there is some motion in there, so you can have him looking off to one side or the other. Once again, paint applications are really good here, and the sculpt is screen accurate. Let's just bring that picture in. I've got a photo here, and to be honest, as I said, getting any movie stills of this that are not it's not the easiest thing in the world. But let's bring this. This is about as close as I could actually get, and it's probably not coming off very well and through two cameras, but most certainly on closer inspection, that neck area, the shoulder area, the paint applications, the scaling, all absolutely spot on. So yeah, put that to one side. This head has a similar party piece to the 1979 Kenner release. There is a button at the back of the head here. Now this whole mouth area around here, underneath the chin and connected to the top of the head there, is a soft rubber. Now the initial Big Chap release from Hot Toys back in the day there had a major issue with this rubber perishing. This is why I went with this particular version. I was after a Big Chap, to be honest with you, because I've got a Ripley and a Dallas in the collection, and we'll be bringing Ripley out for a size comparison before we wrap the whole thing up. But yeah, unfortunately that initial release, the rubber perished very easily here. This version, however, has really stood the test of time. The reason for that soft plastic there is because there is a button at the back where my thumb is. I won't try and get that into shot because it is very well hidden, and if you push that button forward, and this doesn't work brilliantly, I've got to admit, but sometimes you have to lower that jaw a little bit, the extendable jaw will come out. The internal mouth will come out. I avoid using this because I don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on these rubber areas and risk them breaking or perishing. But it's there if you want to use it. And I think, I'm not 100% certain, but I think there's a notch in there, a way of actually opening this that you can actually secure it. I have never attempted to do that. I think there's a sweet spot there where it'll actually hold that that particular look with the mouth out. But yeah, as I say, it's not something I'm going to use in the display, simply because I'm conscious of what could happen to this soft rubber on the sides. But yeah, I think that has covered just about most of the stuff on this big guy. So let's get him. Well, actually, yeah. Before we get him onto the turntable again for final thoughts, let's get him back on the stand and do a size comparison next to Ripley, just so we can see how these two look together. Yes, we're mixing and matching original and sequel, but what the hell? Let's just lower this camera a little bit so we can bring both of them in. I've got Ripley over to one side here, so let's slide her into shot and see how these two look together. And as you can see, this is the repurposed base that we spoke about when we were looking at the accessories. Now, alongside each other, I think these two look pretty good, I have to say. I think they've got the scale absolutely spot on. The 1/6 scale figures from Hot Toys have altered a little bit over the years in their size, but I think these were produced relatively close together. So what you've got is an absolutely spot on scale there, as far as I can tell. The height is just about right for both of those. So yeah, that's how the Alien Warrior looks alongside Ripley. So let's put Ripley back over here and go in for our final thoughts. Let's get the Xenomorph back on the turntable and wrap this whole thing up. So, final thoughts on this guy. Let's get him spinning and get him back into shot. Just bring this camera up a little bit. So, has this guy stood the test of time? Absolutely, 100%. The materials used, there is no perishing there. There's a slight discoloration on the back of the knees, but nothing too horrendous. Is it deserving of its Grail status? Well, let's run through the good points here. The screen accuracy, absolutely on point. Paint applications, sculpt, 100% on point. The head, phenomenal. As I say, screen accuracy is there. So yeah, ticks all the boxes there. The articulation, not so good. But I would, as I said, I would rather have a figure that maybe the articulation is limited, but the accuracy is more on point as far as what we see in the movie. If you put this figure in front of me today, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10, knocking a point off for the articulation. If you put it in front of me 8 years ago, it would have been a 10, no issues at all. So we'll go with 2 scores. We'll go with a modern day score of 8.59, marred only by articulation, against a 8-year-old score of a 10 out of 10. So absolutely 100%. It's still a Grail, and I think possibly one of the definitive aliens in 1/6 scale that we've seen. The original Big Chap, as we mentioned, had its issues, fell by the wayside a little bit. I think as far as a 1/6 scale goes anyway, I think this is up there with probably one of the best, if not the best itself. Alien Xenomorph Alien Warrior. So there you have it. That's the Alien Warrior himself. I hope this review's been useful for you. If you haven't already, please, as I mentioned at the top there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon so you're not missing any of the content that's coming up on the channel. And trust me, there's a lot of it. Let's go through what's coming up briefly before we move over to the showcase. In the 1/6 scale world, we have got Caustic Plastics, Horror of Dracula, Deluxe Edition. That should be on its way to us, fingers crossed, pretty soon. We've got the Blitzway, Astro Boy, version 2.0. From Premier Toys, we've got a raft of stuff. There is Furiosa and Dementus from Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. We've got the Doof Warrior from Mad Max Fury Road. We've got, also from Premier Toys, the Interstellar Double Pack. From Susu Toys, we've got the Blade 3 figure. From Exo 6, we're going to be looking at Savick and Crude from Star Trek. A boatload of present toy stuff as well, including Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, Ripley from Aliens. It'd be interesting to see present toys take on that. In the quarter scale world, we've got the Prime 1 and Prime 1 Batman N52 statue, and the Prime 1 and Blitzway Paul Atreides statues, and of course, as always, there'll be a raft of 110 scale stuff, including NECA. The list goes on. Yeah, before I bore everybody to death, let's move over to the showcase. So all that remains for me to say is I hope this review's been useful for you. If you've got this figure in your collection, pop a comment in the comment section below as always. If you haven't, what's your take on the figure? What's your take on Alien Romulus? Should Hot Toys release a 2.0 version of this and figures from Alien Romulus as well? I'd be fascinated to hear. So drop a comment in the comment section below. And all that remains for me to say is from Ripley, the Alien Warrior, and myself, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and it's over to the showcase.